So, what if I told you the single most important skill for success isn't something you can measure on a test? Today, we're talking about emotional intelligence. It's this powerful set of skills that might just be the real key to thriving, in school, at work, and just in life. Let's get right into it. And this quote right here from Dr. Edward Chip Anderson, it really gets to the heart of the issue, doesn't it? I mean, think about it. It's telling us that the biggest hurdles for students, they're not always academic. There's something else going on, something that pure brain power, raw intellect just doesn't cover. And that's the perfect lead-in to our first section. For a really long time, the whole conversation about success has been dominated by one thing, IQ. But here's the thing, that's only a tiny part of the picture. I mean, think about it. Our modern education system, it's really, really good at measuring one specific thing, academic achievement. The whole setup is built around standardized tests, grades, and it creates this super high-pressure environment. But it makes you wonder, right? What crucial skills are we completely overlooking with such a narrow focus? Well, this relentless focus on just the numbers can actually lead to something pretty dangerous, a psychological state called learned helplessness. It's basically when students start to feel like they have no control. Their entire self-worth gets tied up in these scores, and if they struggle, they can just give up. They start to believe their efforts are pointless. And that's exactly where this other kind of intelligence becomes absolutely crucial. Okay, so if that's the problem, what's the solution? Well, this is where we get to introduce a whole new framework for success. Let's put it this way. If that intense academic pressure is the villain of our story, then emotional intelligence, well, that might just be the superpower we've all been waiting for. So what is emotional intelligence, or EI? The pioneer in this field, Daniel Goleman, defined it this way. And it's super important to get this right. It's not just about being nice or, being overly emotional. Not at all. It's a concrete set of skills. It's about recognizing, understanding, and managing emotions, both in yourself and in other people. It's really about being smart with your feelings. And here's a really simple but powerful way to frame this whole thing. Think of it like this. If emotional intelligence is the superpower itself, then social emotional learning, or SEL, that's the training ground. That's where you go to actually build and strengthen that superpower. And this slide really gets to the heart of the difference. Your IQ, your intelligence quotient, is all about knowledge and logic. And for the most part, it's pretty fixed. But your EQ, your emotional quotient, that's about understanding feelings. And here's the crucial part. It can be learned. It can be developed with practice. And honestly, that's a total game changer, because it means we can actually teach people these skills that are so vital for success. All right, so if these skills are teachable, the big question is how? What does that training actually look like in the real world? Let's get practical and see how we can actually start training these emotional superheroes. Let's make this real with a quick story about a student named Michael. So one night, his dad notices he's being really quiet. And, he does what a lot of us would probably do. He just jumps to a conclusion. He figures, okay, he must be angry about something. But Michael, having had some of this training, was able to correct him with this incredible clarity. He just says, "Dad, I'm not angry, I'm frustrated." And that one little word change from angry to frustrated, it changed the entire dynamic. Think about it. It wasn't just a correction, it was like an invitation to a different conversation. It allowed his dad to stop reacting to this idea of anger and start helping him solve the actual problem, the frustration. That right there is emotional intelligence in action. Now, Michael's story is fantastic, but it begs the question, how do you teach that kind of skill to everyone systematically? Well, one of the most proven, well-researched approaches out there is a program called Ruler. And just so you know, Ruler isn't some random curriculum somebody dreamed up. It was actually developed at the Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence. So yeah, it has a really strong foundation in actual scientific research. So what makes Ruler so effective? It's that it breaks down this big idea of emotional intelligence into 5 concrete, teachable skills. And the best part is, they're right there in the name. It's an acronym. It gives students this clear, step-by-step roadmap for navigating their own emotions, from recognizing a feeling all the way to regulating it effectively. And look, Ruler is a fantastic program, but it's just one approach. That whole training ground of social emotional learning we talked about, it is packed with a whole toolbox of different techniques. We're talking about everything from mindfulness and deep breathing exercises to things like using apps like Calm or even just making a playlist to manage your mood. They're all legitimate ways to build these skills.
Okay, so this all sounds really good in theory, right? But the million-dollar question is, does it actually work? Let's dig into the data, because the real-world payoff here is, honestly, it's pretty staggering.
11%. Just look at that number. Let it sit there for a second. What on earth could that possibly represent?
That is the average gain in academic achievement for students who go through these SEL programs. And get this isn't from some tiny little study. This number comes from a massive meta-analysis. We're talking over 270,000 students. It proves that teaching these skills doesn't take time away from academics, it actually boosts them. And this incredible research was led by an organization called CASEL. That's the Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning. They are pretty much the leading authority in this field, which gives these findings a ton of credibility. But here's the kicker. That 11% academic jump is really just the tip of the iceberg. The very same study found that students in these programs showed huge improvements across the board. We're talking better classroom behavior, more positive attitudes about school and about themselves, and less emotional distress like stress and depression. So you see, this isn't just about making better students. It's about helping raise healthier, happier human beings.
So all of this really brings us to one final and I think pretty critical question. If we know for a fact that these emotional skills are teachable, and we have the data to prove they have this massive positive impact on everything from test scores to mental health, what should our schools really be prioritizing to set our students up for genuine, lifelong success?